Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva oscura, che la diritta via era smarrita. Noble ones! What a surprise! You have been trying to learn Italian, have you? No problem! I'm here to give you a hand. I know that quite a lot of people are struggling to get the proper rolling of R pronounced, for example, the actual R that makes our language romantic and passionate. But no worries, there are 4 different ways to pronounce the R in Italy. So here we are. I am so sorry. No, I didn't mean it. I am so... So in Italy we know that we pronounce the R with a rolling, okay? So we pronounce it with this R, very strong sound, like in the words Ferrari, Roma, I don't know what else to say, Rospo, Rame, N. But there are so many foreign people who are struggling to get this sound, which comes very natural for us Italians, because they don't have it in the repertoire of their languages. But one thing that many people don't know, and I think it would be an interesting fun fact for this video today, is the fact that within Italy there are several ways to pronounce the R. Now, when I say within Italy though, I do need to specify that the other 3 ways of pronouncing the R, the other 3 variations, are typical of the Sicilian accent. So we are gonna immerse ourselves within the Sicilian culture. This is not something that happens in mainland Italy, but it mostly happens in Sicily. So number 1 will be the standard way of pronouncing the R. The way it works in Italian is that if you have a single R, it will be pronounced with a R sound. It doesn't have to be too long, it doesn't have to be too strong, but you have to roll it. Whereas the double R will have a stronger sound, like in guerra. R, it's stronger to show that there are 2 R's there. The first variation, so pronunciation number 2, is typical to Sicily, and what happens is that you actually use the double R pronunciation with all the R's you find at the beginning of a word. So for example, regular person might say la radio, la rotta, la roccia, but Sicilian says la radio, la rotta, la roccia. Most likely the origin of this pronunciation comes from Spanish, and it might be because of the Spanish domination that we had in Sicily, because apparently in Spanish they do tend to pronounce the R's at the beginning of words with a stronger sound. But it's still perfectly accepted in Sicily. As a matter of fact, most Sicilians use it, and some people don't even realize they do until they leave Sicily. Variation number 3. Now this one is very interesting, like fascinating. It's pronouncing your R like a French J. You know the sound in je suis, bonjour? Well, the je sound is exactly the sound that some people in the countryside, mind you, or perhaps very small villages and towns use. They use that sound to pronounce the R's. This only happens with the R at the beginning of a word, so never in a word like Mario. Mario, you just have to roll the R. I'm sorry, but you have to say Mario. Little bit, but yeah. I think the only Sicilian accent there would be the intonation, like if you say Mario, dove sei finito? Disonorato che devi pagare l'affitto. That would be very Sicilian, but you know, it's the R is still R. But if the R is at the beginning of a word, some Sicilians, as I said, pronounce it like a R. So regular person might say l'uomo ragno, cappuccetto rosso, but some Sicilians in the countryside will say l'uomo ragno, cappuccetto rosso. Cappuccetto rosso, tesonessafo, che fa lo pornavi a mangiare do cristiano. But the 4th variation is even more intriguing. It's the actual Anglophone R, the R sound. We have this sound in Sicily, and again, this is something that sort of disappears in big cities, but it's still very strong and present in smaller towns. And it's the R sound, but it only occurs when the R is preceded by a T or a D. So what happens there is that a regular person would say il treno, il drago, but some Sicilians say o treno, o drago. Now this is very interesting because it's actually the same sound you have in English. So the train, o treno, the dragon, o drago. So you see, the Sicilian accent can have the j of France and Paris and the dr and tr of Oxford. Actually, no. I mean, yeah, it's actually easier for some students to learn this. Like, I always give this example to my students when I'm trying to teach them that they should not pronounce trip, but they should say trip. And I tell them, apart from the vowel, I tell them that the tr would be like in Sicilian, and they immediately understand it. So that's how it is. And like drive, drink, you know, dr, it's still typical Sicilian rather than drive, drink. It's interesting because it's anything but aristocratic. If you use that sort of Sicilian accent, it sounds uneducated. But it's there. I personally like it. I find it funny at times. I don't use it, but I like it. So yeah, I was brought up in the city, you know. I'm a city man. So, to reiterate, in Sicily you have regular r, stronger r, French-like j, which is actually found in some variations of Mandarin Chinese as well, as some Mandarin Chinese speakers pronounce the r's at the beginning of words as a r, like in ren, idali ren, and you have the r, Anglophone r, in tr and dr compounds. Oh, the closing! I forgot. Alright then, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Remember that I upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow around the same time. Counting on you, eh? You. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. L'uomo ragno sdosonora famiglia. Sugo ignoto.